All right, you guys, Think Bigger podcast, community conversations. I have the ability to sit here with a person who's become a friend of mine, and it's been a long time coming to do this particular community conversations episode with, and I'm here with Patrick Calello of Honda Vintage Culture. Okay, so Pat, let's talk about that. How is it that you have come to create vintage culture and you went the Honda route? Why? How? Talk to us.
That's a great question, Big Mike.
Thank you. Thank you.
I am a Honda enthusiast. I've been one for 30 years. My background is in design.
Okay.
I had a toy company and was trying to figure out what I wanted to do next to my life.
Yeah.
And I was fascinated with, I'm always fascinated with vintage stuff, great quality products.
Okay.
It's one of the reasons why I love the Honda brand so much. And I was looking for some great Honda gear that I liked and wanted to buy and couldn't find any.
You mean clothing?
Clothing, yeah. Right now I'm doing clothing, but all kinds of automotive gear.
Yes,
is my thing. So I was able to secure a license with American Honda.
Yeah.
And I've now produced a line of jackets, tees, focused, they're highly authentic.
Yes.
I've done tons of research into the history of the Honda brand, the history of the logo marks, the Honda's racing history, their history of innovation, and I'm trying to put a very high quality, well-designed, well-thought-out collection of apparel that can be enjoyed by enthusiasts and, quite frankly, regular people.
Yes.
That just say, hey, that's a cool shirt, that's a cool graphic, and not necessarily even know it's Honda, which I think is kind of cool.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're talking about a person who is a Honda enthusiast, right? You're an automotive enthusiast.
100%.
But a Honda enthusiast.
My first word was car, actually, before mom or dad.
Seriously?
I swear to God.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that.
That's cool, right?
So, no, absolutely. So you're looking for not just automotive style or automotive themed, specifically Honda auto apparel.
Yeah.
Can't find it. So your solution to that is I'm going to get a license from Honda to make it.
Yes.
Now let's just step back and look at that.
Okay.
If the average guy wants to buy a Honda shirt, they go to the swap meet or they're gonna iron on some shit, right?
Right.
Or something. Your idea was, as a businessman, I'm going to go and secure the license. Okay. Now, as I understand it, the only other person to ever do that was Josh from E-Effect.
Probably other people, but he's one of
more,
the...
I guess more recently?
Yeah, in the community. I mean, other people do have licenses.
Okay.
I know there's companies that sell merchandise to dealers, but from what I've seen, it's pretty much just the Honda logo on a shirt. And I wanted to help communicate what's special about the Honda brand.
Okay.
And not just, I'm a logo on a shirt, right?
Perfect. But that's where the vintage angle came from.
Yeah.
Because what a lot of very real and passionate Honda guys may not even realize that they don't know is really how deep the history is.
I would challenge anyone to come up with another transportation brand that has a history that's as rich.
Bar none.
I don't think there's any. And
Sure.
I think it's a crime that no one knows.
I completely agree with you, okay? Because we sort of live in a day and age where the depth of understanding is a lot shallower than it really needs to be. So people who say they're Honda enthusiasts, and this is not a knock. This is more of this is not a knock to belittle someone. I want this to be more of a knock to wake people up.
Okay.
Okay? Because vintage, right? You said earlier, the words you used earlier were vintage. You equate vintage to quality. People equate vintage in a fashion sense to old.
Okay.
You see where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
Okay, why is it or how is it that you thought of vintage as quality, whereas I think a younger generation thinks of vintage as old school?
I think that's excellent. I believe the reason is today we live in a disposable society, right? And we don't produce. Companies strive more, I believe, in general, more for profits.
Yes.
And less for quality, sustainability,
Profundity.
So basically, a lot of times products are only meant to last a short amount of time. And I believe products that were produced, any consumer product that was produced 50, 70, 80 years ago, it was made with better materials, was made to last longer. I mean, technology changes things so quickly.
Yes.
Our products that we use on a daily basis become obsolete so quickly. So I equate quality with things that are older because it was a different mindset.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. Before it was like, let's make something that lasts.
Yes.
That represents our name. Companies.
We need to make a product not last like the Instagram post. That's it. Then it could be dead after that, right?
Okay, so
that's
now
that's kind of how the world is.
Now we're
right?
getting into some nitty gritty that I like to really address. Okay, so you're talking about people who built businesses based on their name. It was a lineage. It's a history, right? So whether it's the grocer down the street, the butcher, the farm, the dairy, the whatever, all of these old school cereal companies, Kellogg's, right? I mean, just pick something. That's a man's name.
Right.
That is the name that he got from his father, who got from his grandfather. So there was a very serious weight that went into you either inheriting your father's business or starting a business and using your name.
I never thought about that. Putting your name on something.
It is
like,
your
wow.
name. You
Wow.
didn't come up with a name or a title or a brand. You named it after yourself. The oldest companies are named after a person, like Honda.
Right. So you feel so good about what you're making, you're putting your name on it.
You feel so good about what you're going to make that you named it after yourself.
Wow.
It is your last name,
Wow.
right? People don't think about that, right? It's a company, it's a brand, it is a whatever it is. But at some point, that started being a man's name, right?
That's interesting.
And so for me, that if you're, like we talked about it, you come from a world and an age where you shake a man's hand and look him in the eye, and that is a binding contract. And the internet and social media has created this lack of solidity. People are flighty and flaky. Their words are quick, and people will say things that they would never say to somebody in real life. People disrespect each other's wives, children. They say the most wildest things on the internet. They would never do that in real life.
Right.
Right? So whether that translates to bullying or whether it translates to business, people say the craziest shit to each other, Pat. I mean, you have a world of business where you're not necessarily going to even really be exposed to maybe some of what I'm talking about. But as a father, you have to work. You hear about kids that hurt themselves, commit suicide from online bullying. You see it on the news. This is a very real thing that has evolved. And in the bullying thing is sort of an extreme example. But what about the day-to-day, right? The day-to-day, people's words no longer have meaning. People just say shit. Or in this case, they type it. Whatever they want. They're not held accountable. Right? So coming from an era and a time, right? So if you don't mind me asking, what is your exact age?
I'm 48 years old.
Okay, 48 years old, right? And you were born at a time and an age where those type of what some people would classify as old school things, that's not old. It was the foundation, right? Your word, your upbringing, how you conducted yourself as a person, in business as a man, right? Those all meant something.
Yeah.
And people think that it still does, but just look at the way people behave. Right?
It's a shame.
So you've come design cars 30 years, right? You said you're 47. 48 years old. 30 years a car guy, right? Okay, so
I've been a third car guy since I was born, right?
Okay, first word was car. Okay,
right.
But earlier you said 30 years, right?
I've been a Honda enthusiast for 30 years.
Okay, so
I
18 years old.
I bought the Motor Trend Import Car of the Year.
Yes. So 30 years ago, you're 18 years old.
Yeah.
That's about where you say you believe the start of your Honda specific love. How did it start?
So I bought a brand new, I was blessed that my dad was doing well at that time, bought me a brand new 1988 Honda CRX SI. It's my first car.
Okay.
And
why that car? How that car?
well, as I was saying, it was the Motor Trend Import Car of the Year at the time.
In
And it
1988.
was like,
That's what you told your dad you wanted.
Yeah, I looked at that, and I think I looked at a Chevy SS 454 step side.
Okay, that's a massive jump.
Huge difference, right?
Yeah.
And both cool, and obviously my life would have been very different had I purchased that Chevy and not this Honda. But I love that car. God, it drove great. It was fast. It was fun.
Amazing mileage.
Man, I didn't care so much about that. But, you know, it's funny. I do remember putting 58 cents of gas in it one time. Yeah. So, but yeah, that car was just fantastic. I just loved it. And it wasn't one of those, you know, I'm looking back 30 years and it, you know, I have rose-colored glasses looking back. It really was a great car. It drove great. Sure. And
Motor Trend Car of the Year?
I drove the wheels off of that thing. I just couldn't break it. Mm-hmm. You know, I was a 17-year-old kid, like redlining every gear, every day.
Yeah.
and it's perfect. I had it 30,000 miles. My dad ran into some financial troubles and it had to go.
Okay, how long did you have it?
Maybe 18 months.
Oh, not even 2 years.
Yeah, maybe 2 years. Maybe.
But you were hooked.
Yeah.
Was that it?
That was
right
it.
then and there.
So then I was in college. We had to sell it. My dad was devastated. He told me later, like, it devastated him having to tell me they had to sell that car.
So he liked it too, or it was just because that was what I got my son?
Yeah. It was because it's what he got me, and I'm trying. It's interesting. This is actually a great story, Mike. I'm going to tell you a great story on your podcast. So I was my class had a great sports class.
Yeah.
So senior year in the spring, I made T-shirts.
Okay.
Apparel. How about that? I made T-shirts for my high school.
Yeah.
And on the back, it had our logo on the front. On the back, it had all the championships we won that year.
Sure.
And I bought 12 dozen shirts.
Yeah.
I sold them all. I stood in front of the school.
Yeah.
$12 for shirt, $10, $50, whatever it was. I sold them all like this. And I bought coilovers, wheels, and tires for my CRX.
So 12 dozen, 144 shirts.
Yep.
Sold them for whatever amount it was.
Yep.
And it was enough for you to buy coilovers,
Yes.
wheels, and tires.
Put 15s, baby. And 205 50 15s on CRX. Lowered a little bit.
On a side note, I'm sorry to interrupt you so badly. I'm sorry, but I just like the fact that you said wheels and tires, not rims and tires. I'm so deeply happy that you said wheels and tires.
I don't think I've ever called them rims.
Because you shouldn't call them rims.
Okay, all right, maybe that's why.
Because rims are a part of a wheel. Okay, it's a whole different conversation. But okay, anyways.
I think they were forged. Yeah, they were forged wheels. I believe.
So how did you
now
decide?
my life changed when that thing had coilovers, my God, and bigger wheels and tires. That was like a race car.
But did you ever know that this whole idea of let me buy X amount of shirts and sell them for X amount of dollars and make X amount of money to buy X and Y, Z parts, was that the plan? You saw that?
Yeah, that's why I made the shirts.
So it was all because you wanted to buy parts for the car?
Yes. So the car's not even a year old, and I'm modifying this thing already, and I must have been reading stuff. This is 1993.
Yes.
I'm sorry, 1989.
Yes.
So I am. I must have been reading magazines. I remember the suspension kit was Lightspeed. Remember that company?
I do.
Lightspeed Honda Acura.
Did you get it from where? I mean, how did you find that particular one?
I bet you I saw an ad in like the back of Road and Track or something.
Sure.
So I called those guys. They were supplying race teams with suspension, and I probably bought the wheels from them too. Mm-hmm. And oh my God, that car was phenomenal. Like that. Oh my God, phenomenal.
I did have a 90 Civic Si CRX, and I've also had a hatchback.
Nice.
And I would have, the CRX I sold, but the hatchback I would have to this day. But this is the only time this has ever happened to me my whole life. I fell asleep and crashed. But luckily, I wasn't going fast enough to really hurt myself.
Thank God.
But it was enough to just, there was a wave in the roof. And when, that's how you know you tweaked it. And I just didn't want to stay with that. And after I ended up getting rid of it, I didn't replace it. But that generation of car, there's something very homely about it, very comfortable. It's very appealing. To this day, my EF is, as we call them an EF, it was a U.S. car. But there's something about that car that I miss. There's something about my soul that has never been complete. The look of a CRX. So how the hatchback, it's symmetrical,
I know.
But the CRX, they got the angle towards the driver.
Yeah.
I thought it was the greatest cockpit layout ever.
Wait. So
when you're in a hatchback,
the console's angled?
Right. When you're in a hatchback, it's straight.
Oh, I didn't know that.
When you're in a CRX, it's got the, right? Like your CRX, the lean towards you, right? In a hatchback, it doesn't angle towards the driver.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Did not know. Hatchback's awesome too. I love a red hatchback.
Yeah, dude.
The red hatch is awesome.
Mine was black. It was black.
Nice,
I had an EF9 front end.
Did it have the red trim in there?
I didn't put the red trim. Okay,
I do like that.
I wasn't ready to. I knew a couple guys. The first time I saw a black hatchback with the red trim,
looks great.
And they were on it was on black and red SSR Type X's or again R&Rs. I don't remember. I damn near lost my mind, dude. The black and red.
Yeah, it looks phenomenal.
But I didn't put the red stripe on my particular one. It was just all black. But anyways, okay. So
I have this car. I must have. So I sold those T-shirts in the spring.
Yes.
So I must have bought the parts in the spring or early summer.
Yes.
So I did I think I did it. I did it myself in the garage.
Yes. So let's talk about that real quick. How did you know how or learn to work on the car?
I don't know, because my dad was a salesman, and
Yeah.
the irony was when I got my CRX. So my brother-in-law, when I was 16, gave me his 1975 280Z.
Okay.
I was like, oh, I love this car. He eventually gave it to me.
Those are nice cars,
He wasn't
too.
driving it.
Yeah.
So he gives it to me. So he puts it in my garage. I must have had it for 6 months or a year. And I'm just taking it apart and trying to figure it out. And I'm just messing around being a kid, right?
He didn't care. Just yours.
Yeah, just gave it to me.
Yeah.
Right. So it didn't. I think there was something wrong with the brakes. I went and bought a book.
Yeah.
Like that Haynes.
Like
maybe.
Chilton or Haynes. Oh, Haynes. Yeah.
It was Haynes. I think I still have that book, by the way.
Nice.
So I bought a master cylinder or a brake booster, and I'm working on it. So I fix the brakes. So I'm figuring this all out on my own. And then at some point I bring it to a body guy to look at it because I need a little bit of work. And he basically told me that what it was going to cost me to fix it, it's not worth it.
Okay.
So that's when I was like, I guess I'll sell it then.
Yeah.
Not mess with it. And then my dad was kind enough to be like, hey, we'll get you a new car.
And that's
when I picked the CRX. And then I tell you, these stories come back. It's fantastic. So I sold. So you probably remember back then, new Hondas, and certainly new Civics.
Okay.
AC and radios were options.
Sure.
So I think the AC back then was dealer installed, right?
You know what, Matt? I have never. Okay.
Well, you're 10 years younger than me, so you wouldn't know.
But nonetheless, I have actually never purchased a car brand new from a dealer in my entire life.
I've only bought one or two.
I've never had a car payment in my entire life.
Oh my
How about
God.
that? I've
Wow.
never had a car note in my entire life.
Wow.
I have always bought older Hondas, fixed them, and drove them. I have never had a car payment in my entire life.
That's awesome.
I've never thought it was necessary.
Mike.
Stop it.
I want to be you. That's phenomenal.
Stop it.
It's not necessary.
Okay, so
the car. So we bought the car. No, we got the AC, but no radio.
Sure.
I sold the Datsun.
Yes.
And that money I bought a system.
Okay.
I had a guy.
You had to have a system back then.
It wasn't crazy. It was
enough.
It was Techniques. Remember Techniques, that company?
No.
You don't remember them?
No.
Yeah, Techniques was the name of the company. It was a guy it was like you go to like a shop. Like
Yeah.
this guy sold all Technique stuff. He sold everything.
For sure.
He had this shop, and
I mean, I remember the age of the era of the audio shop on
audio
every
shop.
corner. Oh yeah.
So it wasn't every corner around here necessarily. We're in New Jersey, by the way. But so recently I drove by the old place where I bought the thing in 1988.
Yes.
I drive by, the place looks identical on the outside.
It's still there?
Still there.
Selling audio.
Yes.
No.
So the guy, all right, this might get a little weird. The guy who owns the place.
Yeah.
So I go in, I remember the guy so distinctly, right? The guy who owned it, he had hair plugs, like early ones. And they were horrible, looked like crops, right?
Crops.
He was probably, if I had to guess, he's probably in his 30s, mid-30s maybe. Was an odd guy.
Yeah.
Like he was like gyrating kind of like this when he's talking, and
Okay.
he wouldn't look at you in the eye.
Okay.
He'd look away when he talked to you, and he'd look down.
Whoa,
but he was
whoa.
a pro. Like he knew everything audio. He was a pro.
Yeah.
But he had like a weird kind of like mannerisms.
Okay.
And he was like shy, kind of like
Yeah.
Rain Man kind of.
Yeah, you're freaking me out right
Like
now.
I may remember him like I
Sure.
saw him yesterday, right? So get that horrible hair plugs,
Yeah.
like a Rain Man. And I remember the place, like he was cool. And I remember so when CD players got big, I remember I went back a couple years later and I bought like one of those small Discman one, like it was Discman style. Techniques, of course, it was.
Yeah.
That's what they sold. And that was college. I was like in college. I had mine.
Yeah.
Like, I bought it from this guy because he was an expert.
Yeah.
He only sold Techniques, I think.
Yeah.
That was like his own thing. The only thing he sold. So I'm driving by this place. It looks exactly the same. I pull up. I open the door. It has not changed one bit. It's 1989. Everything is the same.
And you're in what year?
2017. I'm telling you, it was like Back to the Future. I got spooked. I almost ran out of the place.
Yeah.
So I'm looking around and I'm like, what the hell?
Does he come out of the back
He
looking the
comes
same?
out of the back.
No, Pat.
He looks 10 years older, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, you installed my system back in 88? Like it blew my mind. Like I had to pull over. Like I was like all freaked out, like nostalgia and like.
Yo, did the guy recognize you?
No, of course
But
not.
shit, look, man, he sounds like some kind of savant. For all I know, he's gonna recognize you.
Freaked out.
Yeah.
Freaked out. It was like back. Like remember like Back to the Future when they go to alternate 1985?
Yeah.
It was exactly the same, but a little bit different.
Okay, now was he still selling Techniques? Is that even still around?
I don't think it is. But he actually moved the business into like. I think like high end like DJ kind of stuff now he's doing.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, the counters there, the posters,
Yeah.
the lighting, freaked out. And he looked the same. He had the same horrible hair plugs.
Still like mannerisms, all that.
Unbelievable.
Yo, that is crazy. Okay, audio was the thing, man. When I got my first car was the summer of I think 99. Okay. That's when I was able to buy my own car. Might have been the summer of 2000 actually. So that's still 19 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, one of the very first things I did was I bought a sound system. I had a friend. He had an Accord back then, and he had what we thought was like a banging sound system, right? And he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna sell all of it." And it was what did he have? It was like a JB, not JL Audio. I didn't graduate to JL Audio till later. Some JBL 12s. I don't even remember what the amp was, man. I ended up later on getting a Rockford Fosgate. Remember those waffle amps? The Rockford Fosgate. It was brushed silver and black.
Okay.
Anyways.
See, that happened all after me. That
audio was the truth, man. And I used to drive around in my Civic hatchback just banging. Boom, boom. I used to think that was the... And to this day, I mean, I still want to listen to good sound quality, right? But I mean, it's very much gone to the background, the whole audio thing, right?
Yeah, see, to me, if it doesn't make the car faster, get it the fuck out of my car.
See? That's all unnecessary weight and money.
That's right.
Okay, so here we are. You're a kid. You already had this plan. There was a part of you that already had learned to work on cars self-taught.
Yeah, I guess so.
Get rid of the Z.
Oh, wait, so the funny thing about that is, so when I got my CRX new, I didn't even understand the function of oil in an engine. That's how how little I knew about cars.
Did you already know how to drive stick because of the Z?
No.
How did you learn?
The Z was never fully roadworthy.
Okay.
We bought the CRX without me knowing how to drive a stick. So my dad, we actually bought it. I went to look at a college in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And we got it because back then they were marking those cars up.
Okay.
We were talking about the car was like $11,000.
Okay.
And they were marking them up a couple of grand, which is kind of a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So we found a dealership right by a college we were going to look at for me.
Okay.
So we flew out there to the college.
Yeah.
And we drove the car home. We did the deal over the phone.
When you say we,
my dad.
Because you didn't know how to shift
my dad
it.
drove the car home.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a 0-mile car. We drove it 360 miles home.
What did your dad... 360 miles, you didn't even have to gas up. No, hell no, you didn't.
Didn't.
Come on, man. Those things got... dude, those things got... Okay, you said it was an 88 SI?
88 SI.
Okay, 88 SI was at least upper 40s.
No, SI was 30, 36, I think.
Are you sure?
Let's get the brochure. I got it right
10
here.
gallons. If it's 36, 360 miles, you would have made it home on one tank.
We would have made it home on one
because
tank.
Because my 90 hatchback, right, was 41 miles per gallon. 41 miles per... Yes, man. I'm
almost positive
41.
It was 30, 36, this car.
And then my friend, the 88 HF CRX was the lightest one ever.
50-something.
Okay.
53?
Okay, my friend was getting 61 miles per gallon. Yeah. 61. We did the math. It wasn't like he just told me.
No, you did. No, you did it.
Dude,
yeah,
88 HF,
yeah.
61 miles per gallon.
I believe it.
I remember I got into that man's car one time, and the needle was not at the E, it was underneath the E. You know when E has three...
No. This is how it goes with old Hondas. Yeah, how do you not know this? You got to know this.
What?
When the needle's completely off of the E, when it's gone off the line, the line.
Yes.
When it's on the line, you got plenty of gas.
Yes.
When it's partially off the line, you still got gas. When it's completely... When it's below the line, yes. That's when you're starting to get gas.
Patrick, I know that now.
Okay.
In 19 years ago, I got in the car and I was like, my dude, that shit is not even going to start. The needle was, the E has 3 prongs, and the needle was underneath the bottom of the E. I could read the full E. And I was like, you do not have gas. And he's like, I can probably drive for 3 more days. And I was just like, because he was just local, right? Work was super close.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, do not start your car and drive it because we're just going to get stranded. He's like, listen to me. I can drive this CRX for about 3 more days. And I was like, I'm reading the entire E.
That's crazy.
And we drove that whole day. And when he went to get gas, he put 9.6 gallons in it 2 days later.
Wow.
And I was like, what is this? And I was already into Hondas, but I didn't own a CRX. I didn't get a CRX till years later.
Okay.
And I saw him get it, and I tried to find an 88 HF, but I ended up finding a 90 SI. I got it from a friend, but it was already modified. He had taken the heater core out. It had a 6-puck unsprung clutch in it. So there was no more real exciting driving experience. It's now you just want to rev and race. And I was fine with it, But My 90 hatchback, I would have to this day if I didn't fall asleep, you know? And I mean, I hurt myself. I bit into my tongue, you know, when I hit the steering wheel, it made me go forward. I bit into my tongue a little bit. I didn't sever it, but I was bleeding, you know? And it was bad, man, because I would have that car put away to be restored, or I would have already restored it. I loved them, man.
It's a great car.
So there you go. So CRX.
So my interest in Honda and racing happened with that car because they used to advertise
Yeah.
that had racing suspension.
Yes.
And they were referencing Formula One.
Yes.
And no one in America, and the very few people in America knew what Formula One was.
Yes.
But that's where I started learning about Formula One, Ayrton Senna, and Honda's racing
Yes.
history. Even back then, because they were actively using it in their advertising.
Okay, so there you go. So that was the connection was made for you
Yes.
about F1 and all that stuff.
And I was so with this simple, inexpensive,
Yeah.
utilitarian, fun car.
Yes.
Had such high technology.
Yes.
Such incredible thought, forethought,
Yes.
planning, engineering, and excellence. And I think that's phenomenal.
No, absolutely. Okay, so we're talking about that many years ago, right? 30 years ago.
Yes.
Right? Okay. And then you get to this point where you have to get rid of the CRX.
It was really tough, crushing.
What came next?
Well, that's even a better story.
Okay.
So I was dating this girl from Jersey,
Okay.
college in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And you know, in a relationship, sometimes it's like it's not, something's not right. She's kind of blowing me off now.
Okay.
Right, and it's probably going downhill. So her friend was going to drive me back to college.
Okay.
Over after Christmas break.
Yeah.
And I think she's like blowing me off. It wasn't getting back to me and shit. I had no ride back to college. So I used to hang around my cousin's body shop.
Sure.
And across the street, there was a junkyard.
Okay.
81 Civic. So this is the I'll tell you exactly what year it is. It's the Christmas 90 or 91.
Okay.
So it's an 81 Civic in the junkyard, and there's like weeds growing up through it.
Oh, okay.
So I buy the thing for like, I don't know, $50, $30 because I needed a ride back to college.
Yes.
So,
you bought it just to get back?
Yeah, like 3 days before I was ready to leave to college. It's got weeds growing through it.
Because your girl at the time is MIA.
Yeah. So I gotta get back to college, right? So I got a couple days to get this thing to run.
Yeah.
And so we get it back over there. I think it needs rotors, I think the caliper was seized. I go to the junkyard.
Yeah.
I get parts. I throw them on. I get the brakes to work. I take it to my brother at the time, knew a mechanic, and I have him to look at it. Turns out the head's cracked.
Okay.
So I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah.
So he puts like stop leak in it,
Okay.
in the radiator.
Yeah.
And he goes, if you run into trouble, just put the heat on.
Sure.
Just run the heater, right?
Sure.
So this car had no low beams, one high beam, and a spider crack in the windshield at the base of the windshield right in front of the driver. And it spidered like right in front of your eyes.
Okay.
Okay? So no low beams.
One high beam,
spider crack, and I got to drive 360 miles across the whole state
with
of
stop leak in the cracks of your cylinder head.
Yeah, so I didn't look at the road at all. I just watched the temperature gauge. So I somehow make it back.
360 miles.
Yes, and this car I've owned for 3 days. I was in a junkyard with weeds growing through it.
Yeah.
There's a hole in the floor. You can see the ground drive by.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think that may be the most fun car I've ever had. So I take this car and the first time. So now I'm gonna go home for the weekend now.
Yes.
Back to Jersey. In this
Turn around 360 miles.
Yeah, in this $50 car. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, and I'm poor as hell, man. I lived on. My grandmother sent me $25 a month, and school was pretty demanding. And
sure,
I was spending a lot. So I was working. I was doing schoolwork a lot, right? So I was living on $25 a month. So now I'm ready to go back home.
Yeah.
And I got a pretty thick beard, right?
Okay.
Like I couldn't afford to buy razors, so I do like a crew cut razor, right?
Okay.
so that's kind of how my life was at the time.
Okay.
I had no meal plan. I was just friends with the cashier lady.
Uh-huh.
She would just go like this. She'd like look left, and she'd wave me in. So here's my $50 Honda.
Yes.
No low beams, one high beam, and I'm about to drive at night across the state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, it's probably not that bright. Suppose that one
one
high beam gives up the ghost in the middle of Pennsylvania, I'm in trouble. So I spring on two headlights, and that was like a huge deal. I think I had to do a junkyard battery too. I think it needed. So I get the thing all hooked up. I'm ready to go back. This is long hill leaving Pittsburgh to go towards the highway. I put my foot to brake going down the hill. It goes right to the floor.
You mean to the ground?
Ground.
It broke right through.
It didn't break. It just goes to the floor. I'm getting like...
Oh, the pedal is now going to the ground. Okay.
The pedal goes to the floor. I have no brake.
I thought you meant you Fred Flintstone.
No. So
meaning your brake pedal.
My brake pedal.
Okay.
Listen, I probably have... I shouldn't say nothing. I'm probably like less than 5% braking is happening right now.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm
pretty much nothing.
Like nothing.
Yeah.
So I parking braked it closed. Like
to go down this hill.
Luckily, there was enough brake pad in the back.
Yes.
I'm sure there's drums probably back then. Luckily, the parking brake works.
Yes. If you didn't, you might not be here today.
So I get the thing down, and I probably drove the thing like a lunatic, knowing me. Back then. So I get the thing stopped. I somehow get it back to my dorm or my street where I live.
Okay.
And I call this new mechanic buddy of mine now home. I'm like, this is what happened. He goes, you probably need a master cylinder.
Yeah.
So the next morning, which is Saturday, I go to the junkyard, master cylinder. I do it right there, like on the street.
Yeah. Put
the master in, brake fluid, boom, I'm off. I head home. That was it.
Yeah.
Bled the brakes, so I take off. And that was my second Honda.
A $50 car.
Yeah.
Started off with no low beams, one high beam, a spider cracked windshield.
Yep.
And
it's phenomenal. I loved it. So my roommate was dating this super rich girl.
Okay.
And this was like the hottest car at the time. She had a brand new Cherokee Laredo Limited.
Yeah.
It was the red with the gold pack, the gold trim.
Okay, what year are we in now?
We're 91.
Okay.
1991, right?
Sure.
So it's that Laredo, it's that bright red.
When you say a super rich girl, what is a super rich girl?
I don't know, Dad makes millions of dollars a year.
Okay, millions.
Millions. Yeah.
And back then.
Yeah,
so she's super rich.
Super rich.
Okay, fair enough.
She's got like designer everything. This was in a pre-super consumer culture. Like we weren't like buying lots of stuff in 1990, right?
Okay, and she was hot too?
Oh my God. Crazy hot.
Okay, so she's hot and rich.
Crazy rich.
Was she cool?
Super cool.
Okay, hold on.
Fun. So fun.
Hold the fuck on, Patrick. You're telling me that there is a super hot, super cool, and a super rich chick?
Yeah, she was.
Did he marry her?
Did not.
Why?
He messed that up for us.
Why? Whoever you are, why did you mess that up? You had the unicorn.
Listen, I wouldn't have messed it up. He messed it up.
He had the unicorn. All right.
So she had this brand new this is you can anybody listen to Google it 1990 Jeep Cherokee Laredo Limited.
Okay.
It was the red with the gold it had the gold Smoking the Bandit style wheel.
Okay.
Remember, it was gold. It was silver.
No, I mean, I know Smokey and the Bandit, but I don't remember this Laredo.
Yeah, so this was every rich wannabe so this was the hot car at that time.
Okay.
So it was a silver face, the wheel. It was smoking, and it had it was gold in the sides
in the windows of the spokes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was super. All right. So it had a gold pinched in the trim and the body cladding.
Okay.
There was a recessed area that had gold going through it.
Oh, kind of like the EF9 with the red stripe.
Yeah. So
with the recess in the mold.
Red with the gold. This car was hot.
Okay.
I mean, it cost a lot. Young girls were not driving. Rich.
For sure.
Middle-aged rich people had this car.
Yeah, sure.
So this was her car.
Yeah.
She loved mine better than hers because mine was so fun. Because we never knew if we were ever going to make it back to the dorm. So we drive my car.
Hold on a second, Patrick. What were you doing with your friend's girlfriend?
We would go out.
All of you guys?
Yeah.
Just you and her?
No, we would mainly go to Wendy's.
Okay, hold on. I didn't ask where you went. Was it just you two?
No. We go. Listen, back then we'd go to Wendy's. We go to Blockbuster.
Hey, Blockbuster Video.
You go pick up a Blockbuster.
What a difference.
Okay. No. Yeah,
hold on, Patrick. I just wanted to make
But we take my car because it was more fun because we never...
She said that.
Yes!
She was like, I like your beat-up Honda. It's just more fun.
Yes.
Than my luxurious Laredo.
2 more awesome stories about this car.
The same car?
Same car.
Okay.
So now, in my $50 car, the clutch is mostly gone.
Okay.
So now it's slipping.
Are we still in 91?
Yeah, we're 90. Probably 90, right around 90, 91. Right?
Okay.
So the clutch is slipping so bad now, I can't go up hills anymore.
Okay.
All right? So we're out one time. I go, listen, we got to find a downhill way home, or else we're not getting back.
Yeah.
So we had to drive around. We're 5 minutes away. So it took us an hour to find the downhill way home, so we can get back.
Yeah.
All right. Last great story about this car. There's probably more, but so we go to the big deal was to go to the mall, go to the suburbs, go to the mall.
Oh yeah.
So my buddy and I, we get in the car, we go to the mall, and I'm not easy on cars. I'm kind of rough on them.
All right.
I like to drive them and use them. I like them to be beautiful and be clean and nice. But I like to bang through gears. So we're coming into Pittsburgh, and I slam the thing in the fourth, and the shifter arm falls over. It just falls down, like it's connected to nothing anymore.
There's no friction. You can just move
Nothing.
it freely.
It's not even attached to anything.
What?
So I look over at my buddy who knows nothing about cars. Like, listen, we're stuck in fourth gear.
Yeah.
And we're about to go through the city of Pittsburgh. I said, listen, if we stop, we can't start again. So if we slow down, I need you to get out and push to keep us going.
Yeah. A certain speed. So
yes.
you don't stall.
Right. So we're like, I'm going through red lights. Actually, you know what? I think I made every light up this long hill. I made every single light. We get to the end, I got to make a left. And now we're not going to make it. So I cut through a gas station to just like, to keep going.
Yeah.
To make this left
keep
turn.
Speed, yeah.
To keep the left turn. And then something happens. I don't think I make it because now there's cars coming and I can't get out or something. So I go, so you got to push. So he didn't get out. What he did, he pushed the car from
running
inside.
No, how?
He was leaning like this. He'd throw his body weight. He was, he's probably like 220. He would just throw his weight forward and just keep putting. He was pushing the car from the inside.
What the fuck
I swear to
are you
God,
talking
he pushed the car. Listen, that's what happened. But in my head, I don't even know how it happened.
Yeah.
I remember looking at him like, how are you doing it? You're pushing the car from the inside. He'd go against the dashboard like this.
Patrick.
And use his momentum. I swear to God, he pushed the car from the inside.
Okay, and you guys made it?
Made it back.
Okay, and then how did you fix it after that?
So listen, I'm a friendly kind of guy.
Okay.
So I was friends with a lot of people that worked, like the staff that worked at the university.
Yeah.
The guy, like the gardener guy and the cops.
Okay.
And so the gardener guy, the maintenance guy, he goes, oh, my nephew, he works on cars on the side.
Yeah.
Like in the ghetto part of Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
So I must have towed the car to the guy's house and he put a junk trans on his back in his dirt driveway.
Yeah.
In Pittsburgh. So I got a junk trans.
And it ran again just fine.
Ran again, yeah. So now...
How many miles are on the block? Or anything?
I don't remember. Well over 100,000. But cars back in '81, the Civic was a good car.
Yeah.
It wasn't it wasn't like a car like today. You can drive 300, 400, 500,000 miles. But so it had 100 and something. I don't think it was 200. It had 100 and something. So I get the trans in it. I take the car. I don't know if I graduated or I wound up fixing the car up and painting it and making money. I think I sold it for like $1,800. Yeah, so I take the car. So this kind of like spawned into me kind of like fixing up cars and selling them out of my driveway.
Yeah.
So my cousin's a body shop. I strip the car down. I scuff it up.
Yeah.
Paint the whole car.
Yeah.
Paint the whole car. Clean it up nice. I fix everything. I think I got $1,800 for the car.
Okay, so you sold it in what year?
Probably within a year or two later. Probably by 92, 93.
Okay, we're at 92, 93, right?
Yeah.
So we have these stories, this foundation of how, Datsun Z, then CRX, then this $50 car, Pittsburgh, red lights, traffic violations, potentially riding around in your with your friend's girlfriend to blockbuster
No,
video.
stop it right
Okay,
now.
so
No, I'm going to throw one more story in. One more story.
Okay.
So parking in Pittsburgh is hard.
Okay.
I mean, it was like hard to find a spot.
Yeah.
Actually, you know who lived right in our neighborhood?
Who?
Mr. Rogers. I lived in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. I swear to God. Fred Rogers. He filmed that show from Pittsburgh.
Oh, my God.
I lived in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
It does not get any better than that.
Sometimes my roommate Hank would be like, where'd you park? I park in Mr.
Rogers' neighborhood.
So a lot of times I would just pull in front of my dorm and put the flashers on.
Okay.
And I'd go back every 2-3 hours to make sure that shit was still on.
Oh, you mean you just wouldn't find because you couldn't find them?
I just park out front of my flashers. I'd leave it
the
there
whole night.
I'd be there hours and hours and hours, and then that's probably how I killed the battery. So then I have to get a couple of guys, like, hey, can you give me a push to push this thing started? So I can get going. So I would always just park with the flashers, or I think at that time I must have been hustling and selling cars out of my driveways at that time. So I would have, like, from cars I'd bought, they'd come with a license plate.
Yeah.
So I would have like one bolt on my license plate.
Yes.
And I would use a different plate to park with. Yeah. So that would be my parking plate.
You're such a fool.
So then because you can't graduate college unless you pay all your parking tickets.
Okay.
So what would happen, because I'm on campus.
Yeah.
So the campus police would give a parking ticket to this imaginary license plate that's not registered to anybody anymore. Yeah. So I'd have to pay those 20 parking tickets I got because they were not on my plate.
You're a terrible person, Patrick.
Isn't that horrible?
It's horrible. Okay.
I'm done with stories about that car. But I've owned a few nice cars in my life.
Yes.
That car's got some fantastic stories.
No, absolutely, man. I mean, okay. So learning. I mean, some of that I knew, most of that I didn't. And those are the types of things that we love, you know? So you have this type of foundation, this story, this positive, loving experience with a Honda, with Hondas, right?
Yeah.
How do you go from these types of childhood stories and learning how to work on a car and all these fun times, but how did it end up becoming a thing where you're like, I want to work with them in an official fashion and produce product? A lot of people have stories. I have stories about Hondas. Many people have stories about whether they're Nissan fans, Toyota, Datsun, GM, Chevy, Ford, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But what percentage of people end up doing what you did? How did we come to a full circle, where you are now, at this exact moment I'm talking to you, sitting in your office in New Jersey, you're wearing a Honda shirt, we're surrounded by Honda collectibles, you have your Honda vintage culture apparel and merchandise all around, but it isn't your own stuff. It is a color-coordinated office space with a very apparent love for automotive, specifically Hondas. There are cars and toys and how did a lot of people got stories, man? But how did it become this?
So I think that I'm definitely a brand guy.
Okay.
Love brands. I'm a brand loyalist for sure.
Okay.
I love things that are authentic.
Yes.
I love things that have. I love excellence.
Yes.
So I love products that are well thought out.
Yes.
That are well engineered. That connect with consumers. So in some way, whether Honda did this as a grand marketing plan,
okay,
or it's simply happenstance by just making great products,
yes,
they at some level were able to connect with me, right?
Yes.
And quite frankly, I think they were able to connect because they made great products. It wasn't gimmicks. They didn't need a gimmicky. In the 80s, they sold every car they made.
Yes.
Right? So they didn't need gimmicks to sell cars. So they just made great cars because it's interwoven into their culture.
Yes.
Into the culture.
The Japanese work ethic. The excellence.
Not even just that. I think it's a Honda thing. I mean, Japanese, certainly, it's a whole different culture. Is very different in excellence, yes. But the Honda culture, which was obviously infused by Mr. Honda, I feel like it's infused in Mr. Honda's soul, is infused into the company. Right?
Yes.
This entrepreneurial sort of like do anything, can accomplish anything, dare to do something great sort of mentality.
Yes.
I think shows
the power
through,
of dreams.
Yeah, shows through in the products. And I must have, at this time, I must have really started loving motorsports and learning about motorsports. And Honda is racing, and Honda uses racing to educate their engineers. So it's not just we want to win. It was never a win on Sunday, sell on Monday for Honda.
Yes.
That wasn't their idea and their mentality. They've used it as a test bed, really, for their engineers to learn how to make decisions quickly, to solve complex problems in a fast, efficient way.
Yeah.
And you probably know this, but I've become a huge Formula One fan, mainly through Honda. But they actually swap the engineers out kind of all the time.
Okay.
So kids they're always learning, and
so
that's like part of their process, which I think is fascinating. So as I said, so somehow they were able to connect with me
on a very deep level.
And I think I was exclusively buying and selling Hondas. I think out of my driveway, I'd buy them, fix them up, sell them, flip them, make some money.
Okay. Did you experience, whether observationally or personally, did you experience from that generation, people who were like, why are you fucking with these Japanese cars?
No.
You never had someone say that to you?
No. But I wasn't. So the cars I was working on, I was just buying like Accords and Civics and fixing them up and flipping them and selling them. I wasn't like modifying them.
Sure.
So I was like I'd buy a Civic that needed a clutch and paint work. I had a fender.
Yeah.
And I would just fix. So what I found is it's so easy to sell a car.
Yeah.
If there's no reason to say no.
Okay.
So I would just make a great car. It'd be clean.
Yeah.
It'd be clean. Everything would be fixed.
And
so
if
you looked at the picture, and it delivered on everything I promised.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason not to buy it.
Yeah.
So nearly the first person would buy every car I sold. So I would go crazy. I think I was detailing cars back then. So I'd wheel the car so the paint would be perfect.
Nice and glossy.
I used to I'd pull the seats out. I'd shampoo the carpet.
Sure.
If you pull seats out, as you know, you can clean a car so nice.
Oh, yeah.
I pull the seats, part of the console, and I learned how to detail and clean and make the car just look incredible.
Sure.
And I wasn't just buttering it up. I would fix everything.
Yeah.
If it needed tires, I put tires on. If it needed a clutch, I put a clutch on.
Yeah.
So I was flipping cars at that time.
What is the most mileage you ever got out of a Honda?
So I don't think I've ever owned one car long enough to put a lot of miles. But I did own a 325,000 mile Honda.
But how many miles did you put on it?
I put on 120 maybe.
300. You said 325.
Yeah.
I
bought it with 200. Yeah.
One of mine. I have three on the actual meter. I have 384,000 miles on it, but the cluster is going in and out.
Oh no!
So
There's more?
Oh no! I'm over 400.
Wow!
It's been out for about a year, but I'll also be driving, and all of a sudden the needle will jump up to like 74 miles an hour, which is how fast I'm going. Apparently,
how old of a car? How old?
It's a 96.
Okay.
Remember, it's 2019, 96. It's an old car.
Yeah.
Right? But I mean, so it's proportionally kind of the same thing. But I have well over 400,000 miles on it. And that thing, I've changed the long block once and the trans just recently. Automatic.
Oh, okay.
Their automatic trans were never the best. Honda's automatic trans were never, especially in the 90s.
You can say that.
Okay? So the fact that it made it to about 360 maybe on the original automatic transmission is phenomenal.
I'm surprised you had to do a long block. I mean, my motor had never been open at 325.
Yeah, I did it because I overheated it.
Okay.
Which, I mean, I didn't overheat it. Something happened and I didn't save it fast enough.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
So by the time I caught it, there had been some, so I still have the original motor. And I'm just going to resurface the head and just, just get it to 0 miles and put that one back in.
Yeah.
But I bought it, JDM long block, like $600.
Nice.
But you're already in there, rear main seal, and a bunch of stuff that if you're gonna disconnect it from the trans, you might as well do the rear main and timing belt and water pump and stuff. So I probably spent like $950 for everything. If it follows the same path, it'll run another 300-something thousand miles.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So for $950,
that's phenomenal.
Right. Like I said, never had a car payment.
That's phenomenal.
So my love and experience with Hondas has been very much similar to yours. But since you're older than me, there's a more possibility of history. And then it evolved into being a creative person, a brand person, and now when did you start Honda Vintage Culture branch?
Well, let me go back for 1 second. What's interesting is you were right in the meat of the tuner. Like I was there right before it kind of happened.
Yes.
So I was out.
I was born into the tuning world.
Yeah. So the tuning thing happened after. Like the only people that were modifying cars like in those late '80s, I think, were guys that were like racing them like road course and
sure.
So
like Jackson Racing in them.
That was my dream. Jackson.
Oscar Jackson.
Supercharger so badly.
Oh yeah. But I mean, he's out there in California. Being in Southern California, I was born into the realm of when people had started street racing, drag racing.
Right, that was all after me.
Camshaft, trying to make some kind of ignition change, bore out a throttle body. Right, that's all right after.
Yeah, that's after.
That's when I came into it. I'm talking about mid. You're telling these stories about 90, 91, 92. So I got into it about 95, 96.
Yeah, they were still new cars. They were brand new cars at that time. So 96, they're 4 or 5 years old. These EFs.
And I'm reading these magazines.
Yes, that didn't exist when I was a kid.
Yeah, so 96, 97, 98, I'm starting to grab these magazines, and that was my real exposure to the cars, was the modified ones. And I was just like, it's just kind of crazy because I'm in my mid-30s now and I drive it's not 100% stock, but it's pretty damn stock car. And I would never stock. Why would you drive a stock car?
That's funny.
It's just you get a little older and you want the cool ones, the fixed up ones. You want the ones to tinker with. But I also want the one that I'm not going to get pulled over in.
Yeah.
I want the one. I mean, maybe I don't know how it is here in Jersey, but in California, man.
I think I'm white enough to not get that pulled over that much.
You are.
I'm a darker sort of Italian guy, but I'm white enough not to get
to the
bothered.
Person who doesn't know any better, you're Caucasian, man.
Yeah.
You look like a nice Caucasian gentleman.
You know what? Can I tell you what's really funny? I started getting pulled over so much less once I got like out of my 20s.
You think so? You think it's just because they see a
No,
younger guy?
They target. You know, you can say they target a certain kind of person. You can say it's race, but it's definitely. I would say it's probably used as much.
Sure.
As anything else?
Because they just think a younger person is going to drive like a maniac, or
100%, or they're doing something wrong, illegal. There's
sure.
no doubt about
Interesting.
it. Once I got out of my 20s, I started getting pulled over a lot. I mean, listen, I have a whole category of selfies with cops. Like I get pulled over all the time, but I'm also Italian, and I think the rules are for other people. Like I have like tinted plates. I refuse to run a front plate. I'll tell the cop, listen, I'm never putting it on. It looks like shit.
Yeah.
Like I have the plugs and
yeah.
So I'm not. Give me a ticket. I'm not putting it on. So
if I said that, I might get tased and shot.
Oh, dude. Totally. Yeah, you can't say that.
I can't look at the cop and be like, "Hey, I'm not gonna put it on."
No, but so I get away with this stuff because the police people that I know too. So that's why I'm able to have a nice day. Sorry to bother you.
Oh, okay.
Which is a whole different.
We'll leave that off the record.
It's a whole different topic.
Okay, Pat. I mean, honestly, man, we just came from the garage, right? Clearly, it isn't just empty words. It isn't just a saying. The Honda brand has become integrated into who you are. Okay, so we jump all the way to 2019. You have vintage culture. You get the license. You're producing Honda apparel, and you are taking that same F1, that same history, that same racing lineage, and that is the foundation of what you're producing. Because you're not taking a 2019 Civic Type R and putting it on a shirt. That's not what your brand is doing.
Not right now, no.
Right. I mean, and as you progress in some form of a chronological fashion, perhaps, okay, that is coming. But I think some of the reason why, so you guys, Patrick, Honda Vintage Culture, he is a vendor at the IBOC meet, which I host, and the IBOC meet, for those of you that have no idea what that is a gathering for the Honda enthusiast. It's 15 years deep, and it is a gathering 100% for Hondas. You can roll up in a Lamborghini, roll up in a Ferrari, you can roll up in a Supra, you can roll up in a Skyline, and we will direct you to the spectator lot, because it is a Honda enthusiast gathering. So you have Honda enthusiasts. They live and breathe Hondas, right? And they'll say, oh, I have an 88, 89, 90, right? And you can go over there and give them a history, right, of cars that date back to F1 in the 60s, right? So do you have a theory? Or not a theory. Do you have a reason why you believe that a Honda enthusiast, and I don't mean a fake Honda enthusiast, I'm talking about someone who really loves their Hondas, but has some kind of just dead stop at a certain year and doesn't know a thing past that year? What is that?
I quite frankly don't know the current Honda enthusiasts, younger kids so much. I just know and understand because of what I've read and researched that Honda is great today because of what happened before it, right? You don't wake up 400 pounds or 500 pounds.
Yeah.
Like it happens like a pound at a time, right? So you don't become great because you wake up one day and decide it. They're kind of baby steps to get there, right?
Yes.
So there's a real foundation of excellence, engineering excellence, and there's this winning spirit that's interwoven into the brand, and it goes back to the very beginning, to that crazy Mr. Honda.
Okay, so I think that stopping point for a lot of people is going to be the NSX and Senna.
Okay.
That is about as old as it gets for some people. They'll give you maybe an understanding of Senna, right?
Yeah.
F1
but Senna didn't work. I mean, I guess I think Honda paid his salary, but for anybody that doesn't know, Ayrton Senna is a Formula One driver.
Yes.
And he
helped design the NSX.
He didn't. So he was probably the first person. He consulted as he gave them advice.
Sure.
On the chassis setup.
I mean,
he wasn't. I mean, I guess it's folklore, right? To become like, he was involved in the program where he drove.
Right.
He was a test driver.
Sure.
And now that's commonplace now for Formula One drivers to help a supercar company.
See, but that's what I want to talk about. It was very crazy for Honda to bring in an F1 driver to help them create a car, wasn't it?
I don't know if it was
the whole space age aluminum frame and
listen, the car was revolutionary, obviously, but having the world's best driver. Part of helping the development has certainly added incredible folklore to the car, but I don't, to the extent of his input, and quite frankly, his input actually was a little bit trouble. It was caused Honda some trouble,
because
he demanded that they put this particular tire compound on the car, that only lasted a few thousand miles,
and they're like,
people were getting blowouts, and it caused a big problem for American Honda with having to replace tires.
In the 90s, right?
Yeah. So Yeah, so they wouldn't think that, like, I better check my tires before I need an oil change, for instance.
Sure.
Because I have a set of tires that have 2,997 miles on them, and you'll see there's no tread left on the tires. So, but he wanted a particular handling characteristic, and he demanded a particular type of compound.
And this is for an essentially mass-produced vehicle. That type of short-lasting tire is not going to do it.
Well, it wasn't a mass-produced vehicle, but the idea of the NSX, as you know, was to be your everyday supercar.
Yes.
So you can't drive the thing every day and need tires in 3,000 miles, right?
Right.
And of course, you know that you can't rotate NSX tires, right? So you have to just replace tires.
You guys, you can't rotate them because they're different sizes front to rear.
Yeah, so the wheels are different sizes and the tires are different widths, obviously.
Yeah.
However, I do have a new Civic Type R that I've ripped through some tires in a scarily fast manner.
Yes.
Like 5,000 miles are completely gone.
Well, that's because you're driving like a maniac.
I know, but you would think somebody should tell me that if you drive a certain way, check your tires before your first oil change would be nice to know.
Okay, fair enough.
Right?
So you're ironically having what seems like the same issue people were having back then with the NSX.
It seems to be the exact same problem, and it's interesting that they're not like, hey, here's a free set of tires, because...
Oh, you mean Honda?
Yeah, like, it'd be nice to be like, hey... I don't know. I mean, listen, the Civic Type R is an amazing car. I love it more than I ever dreamed of.
Yes.
However, it's still a Civic.
Okay.
It's meant to be your everyday kind of car, right?
Yes,
you can daily drive that car,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I think having a tire that lasts more than 5,000 miles would be nice to have on a daily. It should come. I would hope it would come with a tire that lasted more than that.
Interesting. Okay, so let's talk about that. What year is your Type R?
My Civic Type R is I think an 18.
Patrick, how do you not know?
I don't know when they came out. They came out in 17.
Patrick,
right?
how do you not know the year of your own car?
I don't
It's
know.
most likely an 18?
It's an 18.
Okay, we're going to go with 2018.
18, yeah.
All right, so let's talk about that. What is in the current, if you don't mind sharing,
Okay.
what is in the current stable?
So I have a 2018 Civic Type R, which is my daily driver.
Okay.
I have a 1991 Acura NSX.
Yes.
I have a 2001 Honda S2000.
Yeah.
I have a 1997 Acura Integra Type R.
Yes.
And I have a 1990 Honda CRX.
All right. We have a CRX, an NSX,
Yep.
an S2000, Civic Type R,
Right.
right?
There's something else I don't know. I can't name them all in a row. I get them mixed. Like if I ever had a lot of children, I couldn't remember all their names. I would have trouble with that.
Okay. Well, you have two CRXs.
No, I have one actually. That's friends.
Oh, the red one.
Yeah, the red one.
The white
outside.
one's yours.
Yeah, white
okay.
one's mine. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Out of those cars, which one's your favorite?
I can't. It's not.
No, Patrick, pick
all
one.
My favorite.
Pick one.
I'll be honest. I mean, can I be honest?
Yeah.
The Civic Type R is incredible.
Okay.
It really
over
is.
the S2000. Okay, fine. Over the NSX.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It really isn't. It's
Patrick.
that good. For
Okay,
all the
what,
people
you
that
mean-
say, for all the people that say Honda isn't what it used to be, blah 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 blah, go drive a Civic Type R.
Okay, so you're talking about balance, planted, acceleration, all that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
or are you talking about your driving experience?
All of it. Yeah, it's great. It's great. All the stuff that the magazines say that sound hard to believe, like you think Honda paid them to say that. No, it's that good. It's that good of a car. Stock. It needs nothing.
All right, fine. I like it.
They're all so. It's like asking me, you're my favorite kid. They're all so different. And we're talking about a rear mid-engine car, a front mid-engine car,
Yeah.
a front-wheel drive car. We're
Rear-wheel
talking about
drive, yeah.
we're talking about a CRX that's wildly modified. Like they're all so different.
Okay, so let's go one by one, right? What was the first one you had out of your current collection? What's the first one you had? Was it the NSX?
It was, yeah.
Okay, what year did you buy the NSX?
20 years ago this month.
20 years ago this month.
Yeah.
Before it was cool to have a collectible NSX.
Yeah, it was just a used Honda, right?
Not to me, it never was.
It was like an 8-year-old Honda, 7 or 8-year-old Honda. I put down like 18 grand and financed the rest, I think. And I had to convince the bank. The bank wouldn't do a loan on a car that old.
That old, yeah.
Because the car was like 7 years old. Like,
Sure.
oh, we won't loan money on that. So I had to like it was a credit union. I had to like go to like the management and get them to approve. Like, listen, it's a kind of a special car. You know, it has 2,000 miles on it.
Did they give you a horrible rate?
No, it was great.
Okay, so even though you had to convince them.
Yeah, they were fantastic.
Okay, so that was your first car 20 years ago from your current stable.
Yeah, I think that was the first like sporty car I bought post the CRX, which I had lost, 8 years earlier.
Okay, so you have the NSX 20 years ago today,
And that's when I bought my I bought that 300 or 200,000 mile Accord as a daily.
Yeah.
So I could daily something, right?
All right, and then when did you get the CRX, which is your beloved car?
I didn't get that until 07.
All right, what about the S2000?
09.
Okay.
09.
And then what about your
I've had
ITR?
that. 2012.
So you have this collection. Has it been a weird thing to see the value of them skyrocket?
Yeah, I mean, I never bought any of them for value. Like they were all just. I mean, I paid used car prices for them all. So,
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I think it's something that I believe was going to happen. I didn't think CRXs would start going up really.
Yeah.
Because it's been 30 years, so it's nice to see. It's nice. Mm-hmm. It makes me look like I'm smart by buying those cars. But as you buy them, as you drive them, I drive the cars.
Yeah.
And the miles go up, the values go down. So,
Sure.
But it's interesting to see. I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to see Honda get the recognition in the collector community. I mean, they're we know how great of a car they are. Obviously, as a piece of engineering.
Yeah.
Right. So it's nice to see them get the notoriety they deserve. All the cars that I have, I believe I think can be universally accepted as great cars, right? Objective journalists.
If someone puts out their stereotyping, puts out preconceived notions, just drives them.
No, I'm talking about if you read like journalists' reviews of all the cars, I think they're indisputably all great cars. But if you took the sum of what every journalist ever written about a CRX, an Integra Type R, Civic Type R, an NSX, and an S2000, there are glowing praises of them in that time.
Oh yeah. So okay, no, but I agree with you because the journalists that had journalistic integrity and were doing observational written pieces.
Yeah.
All right, say that, and it's referenceable, like you just said. But how is it then that you think that there's this entire world that even to this day, but especially back then, being a ricer and why are you messing with an import and why are you where and how do you think that had and still has such strength for people to say, oh, you're into Hondas, aren't you a little old for that? Where does that come from?
I don't know anything. I haven't experienced that.
It never was part of your experience.
No, but I'm not out there with my Hondas,
Sure.
doing Honda stuff so much,
Sure.
and I don't none of my my normal friends or I'm not guys I hang out with are
So in the 80s and 90s, being an Italian growing up in this area, no one was just like, what are you doing with those cars?
No, it was my
just
car.
a car.
It was my car, yeah, and I just happened to love it.
Yeah.
It happened to be a great car. I was fortunate to pick a great car.
Yeah.
It was fun to drive.
Yeah.
And I didn't do anything crazy with it. It was just the suspension and wheels and tires.
Yeah.
So and I think at that time that's all I really did. I didn't do anything crazy, any crazy modifications. So the CRX I bought in 07.
Yeah.
So I wasn't, that whole ricer thing didn't happen until after and I wasn't really involved in it really, right?
Sure.
Because I didn't have, I think in the 90s I had just beater cars.
Yeah.
I just drove beaters. They were probably just beater Accords and stuff and beater Civics.
Okay.
During that time.
I mean, look, as we walk through the collection, I see the cars. Some of them are stock. Some of them have amazing parts. Anything from sway bars to Mugen Aero to whatever, right? Okay, so you have these different types, right? All right, that's your collection. You love the brand. You've loved the brand. You're not just some business guy that found some niche and you're like, I'm going to make it, right? So you're a real diehard Honda guy. Vintage culture, Honda vintage stuff. You're producing jackets that are inspired from F1 race crews and all that stuff, right? Okay, but we've talked about this on a personal level. There's a whole realm of people that don't have the fucking slightest idea of what it is that you have even created. They see the word Honda. People know what Honda means. People have the word culture, and they think of vintage. Like I told you, the younger generation thinks vintage means old.
Right.
Okay. But it's not just that it's chronologically before us, aka old. There's a foundation, like you said. There's a reason why Honda's great today. It's because it was great before. Okay, Pat. So let's talk about that. Pit crew jackets, F1 this, hat designs, motorcycle logos. How, where, and when did you draw inspiration for the designs for the Honda apparel that you're producing?
I want to mention. I want to respond to one of the things you
Sure.
said in that statement. So, what I think's important about heritage and tradition.
Yes.
And I think this is what really sets Honda apart. And I believe that I know they recognize this and understand this. But Japanese culture is not really. I don't believe, it's my understanding, that they're not steeped in. I mean, they're steeped in tradition, but they don't glorify tradition. They want to do what's next and better. They want to always move forward. So moving forward and looking back sort of are diametrically opposed, right?
Okay.
So I don't think that I think culturally it's not natural for them to use that heritage and tradition too much to promote themselves.
Okay.
Because they always want to move forward and look back. And they'd rather look forward and innovate, and that's how companies grow and they make great products. They keep moving forward. So it's hard to move forward and look back.
Okay.
Having said that, any of these Korean brands that are coming up right now,
Yeah.
that are producing cars and they're trying to be competitive in the same segments that Honda's in, they can't make that heritage. They'll never have it.
It just flat out doesn't exist.
It does not exist.
You cannot go back in time. Right.
You can't fabricate it. You can't make a story. They will never have it. They'll never have that tradition, that history that's steeped in innovation and an entrepreneur that went out on a limb and created amazing products, did crazy things, pushed the limits. That started in. I mean, could you imagine what it looked like in 1964 when a bunch of Japanese guys showed up in Europe to race in Germany? They must have looked like they could have been like aliens.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, to just show
tiny,
up.
like 95 pound little tiny Japanese dudes.
Can you imagine that? They
Oh,
must
no.
have been like, what are they even doing here?
What are you even doing?
And in
here?
11 races, they beat them.
Yes.
So that's amazing. So those
Yes.
those
It gives
Korean,
me goosebumps,
me
man.
too.
Yeah.
And that's why those goosebumps I hope people see in my products. Right?
Yes.
So I what I'm trying to do with vintage culture is I'm trying to the things that maybe Honda's it's not natural for them to kind of look back. I want to take all that heritage. I want to educate the consumer.
Yes.
Like, I want to listen. I will make a successful brand with Honda Vintage Culture.
Yes.
But I also want to help Honda.
Yes.
I want to be positive for their business and their image.
Yes.
Everything I do it needs to reflect on their business.
Yes.
I act like I'm part of them. I act like it's my brand.
Yes.
Right? So I want to help spread that message of innovation, of courageous, daring feats, right? Of doing making amazing, crazy products. I mean, show me. We can talk about great automotive brands and transportation brands. We said Ferrari, Porsche. Show me one that makes a robot, a jet, a Formula One car,
A lawnmower,
and
a generator,
and can make 500,000 cars a year. None of them.
None.
Not even close.
Right.
I mean, I would even put Honda's racing
Motorcycles.
Motors. I'd even mention motorcycles.
Motorcycles,
right?
yeah.
How about boat engines? It's crazy. It's crazy stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I would even put Honda's racing heritage against just about any other company.
See, you're gonna have some people in arms about that.
Yeah, I mean, we have Porsche, Mercedes, and Ferrari, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So Ferrari, arguing their motorsports history is phenomenal.
Yes.
But Mercedes and Porsche. I mean, Porsche's never won a Formula One race. I don't think. I mean, not as a constructor. They've supplied engines.
Sure.
Mercedes and Formula One is, they've been in it a long time.
Yeah.
And they've done well, and I would say, they go back to the 50s as well. So, I would say their Formula One history is very strong.
Yes.
But
I mean, okay, you guys listening right now, are you guys not? Did you catch it? We're talking about Honda. We're talking about history. We're talking about lineage and F1 racing. And the three brands that come to mind to compare to are Porsche, Mercedes, and Ferrari.
Yeah.
And Honda. Where the average person who's looking at it from the outside would never even think that those words should go together.
And it's my job to make sure people know that. That's what I'm trying to do.
There it is.
That's my job.
Porsche, Ferrari, Mercedes, Honda. And you're arguing that Honda's racing, we're not talking about anything else. racing history is as rich, if not more,
than most or all those brands.
most or all those brands.
But I would argue that Honda's as a company and their ability to make products, innovative products,
Unrivaled.
innovation, unrivaled
Unrivaled.
on all those brands.
On all of them.
It's on top of all those brands.
See, you guys, and I know that for many of you automotive enthusiasts, specifically Honda guys, that might not come across as something revolutionary, but there are a lot of people who listen to the Think Bigger podcast. You guys are not quote-unquote car people, and you're definitely not going to then be a Honda person. So these words are going to be very revolutionary to some of you guys, and I think it's a very beautiful thing that there's a person and a brand that isn't just trying to take a design or a Honda H and just put it on something in a different color and sell it to you. There is a reason, there's a love, it's bred in, there's a collection of vehicles that represent that are 20, 30 years old that show that it isn't just some guy. Because as for me, if a guy's born in 95, you can't blame him for being born in 95. Right? If a guy's born in 75, you can't blame him for being 75. There's just a newer thing with newer generations where I feel like they're very disinclined to give credit to those who came before them. I'm not really 100% sure where that is. I don't know. People will call it millennial, quote unquote, entitlement. Okay. But the idea that there are people who are building cars now. So let's take the tuning world, the aftermarket world. There are people who are building a car now who are going to try to swear up and down that they came up with the idea for that. No, you didn't. Okay, come on, man. Whether you saw it in a magazine, saw it on a forum, a blog, a vlog, whatever the hell, a car show, you got that from someone else, and that's not a bad thing. You might put your own twist and personalize it, but that's where growth comes from. It came from someone before you. Someone accomplished something before you. And there is a very real history of people who accomplish things, daring things, to make Honda have this rich history behind it. And in this bubble of the tuning side, of the aftermarket side, it's the same thing. There were guys who wanted to make the car faster or more nimble or more something, and they took a car that was arguably already perfectly balanced and or economical or whatever term, and they wanted to make that better. There's modifying to modifying, and then there's modifying to make something better. Better's relative, right? Beauty is relative, aesthetics are relative, but you have these people in the aftermarket world that did the same thing. And then you have a new generation who's just like, nah, man, I don't know who did that before me. I think I'm the first one. Man, shut the fuck up with that.
Listen, any idea you had, there's at least a few hundred people that had the same idea.
Yeah. And look, I don't think that, and then there are the people who don't want to, they're not going to say that they came up with it, but, they don't want to give the credit where it's due,
Right.
I think that it's amazing that the foundation of what you're doing is starting at the people who did it first.
Well, it's fine. I actually purposely started in the 60s because I wanted to start at the beginning.
Yes.
It's like I'm telling the story of Honda through my apparel.
You are.
At the beginning.
Yeah.
So there's actually, Jay Leno is an owner of a Honda S600.
Yes.
You've probably seen the video
that
he's done. And it's really, I would encourage anybody who's a car person or is interested, if finds any of what we're saying interesting, to check out that video. It's, Jay's obviously very entertaining. And what's neat about that video is Jay says at some point, it says if this didn't have an H on the front, if it had a crest, a Porsche crest, it'd be worth, the values would be through the roof, because he recognizes and acknowledges the incredible technology on this I think it's a 64 car that he had. And he is amazed by how incredible of a machine it is, and it's one that he loves very much. And one thing that what was I going to say about that car? Yeah, it's just an amazing car. Oh, the chief engineer on the Honda S cars.
Yes.
The S600, S800. Those are the first Honda sports cars that they made. He was the head of the Formula One program, so that's part of the reason why those engines sound like F1 cars.
Really?
He was the head of his name is Yoshio Nakamura. He was the head of the Honda Formula One program and that car program. Is that cool? An F1 chief engineer?
Yeah.
Developing the road car?
Oh, yeah, that's super cool.
Right?
That's super
That's why
cool.
they rev to like 11 grand, those cars.
Super cool, man. See, there you go, guys. The thing about, Patrick and you guys, I wish you could see the collection and be able to have a conversation with him, which, you know what, if you go to IBOC meets, Patrick was at almost all of them. And then next year, same type of thing. You guys, for those of you who are listening on various platforms where you can't see a caption or something like that, go to my Instagram. I will put his Instagram, the website, I'll tag him, etc. You guys can go see the apparel, see the website, see the merchandise, read a blurb about where and how the design came from, see the history and the lineage. Like you said, it's an educational, it's a story, starting at the beginning. And as we get closer, you have some CRX merchandise now, right?
Yeah.
And it's progressing into what would end up being a little bit more, I think, relatable to a newer realm of the enthusiast. But you guys, it's vital, education. Don't just read stuff that was published recently. Don't just watch vlogs, go back. It goes back farther than me. It goes back farther than you. It goes back farther than you may think. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about Honda or anything, you guys. You must educate yourself. Community conversations is very vital because we get to learn not just about someone. You guys got to learn about Patrick. It's just a fraction of Patrick, right? But you got to learn from him and where he came from, what he did, and how he got to a point where he developed this business. And you guys, I'm telling you, it's crucial to be able to educate yourself about why you are even into what you're into, where it came from, and why, how, or if you should continue to be a part of something. It's bigger than just, I want to be cool or I want to get attention. It's deep, man. It's not just cars, man. It's so much bigger than that. It's so much bigger than that. And I don't just mean generators and lawnmowers and boat engines and robots. And I mean, dude, they make so much. They make so many things.
It's amazing.
So the trivia I do at the IBOG meet.
Love that.
It's interesting, right? So, I come up with questions. My boy, Big Ryan, who started the meet, comes up with questions. Different people. Sometimes we do basic ones, right? I ask people in the trivia, what does CRX stand for? 2 guys out of 50 know.
Wow.
What does NSX stand for? What does VTEC stand for?
That's a little tricky, though.
It's not, Patrick. So anyways, the point is, there is a type of person who's skin deep. Then there's ones who go a little bit deeper. And then there are the ones who are like you, who they go back to the beginning. They want to know how and when and why it started. And that's why I respect the brand, your company, and what you're doing. And I want to help that grow.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So you guys, I'm going to tag him. I'm going to tag the company. You guys can go to the website. What would be the best way for these listeners to be able to see you and what you're doing here?
So you can see our current product line at vintageculturestyle.com.
Okay.
You can follow us on Instagram at Honda Vintage Culture.
Yep.
And we have Facebook as well, Honda Vintage Culture.
Okay, so you guys, there it is. I'm also going to put that in the caption so that you will be able to do that. There's going to be a part 2 with Patrick later. I know it. Oh, boy. But you know what, guys? This is just a sample, There's history, there's culture, there's love, there's upbringing, and mechanics and college stories. And there's just so much, guys. And so, Patrick, I'm sitting here on the East Coast with you in your office. It's been a pleasure, I
appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate your enthusiasm is infectious. So
I appreciate that, man.
And thank you for this opportunity to be on your podcast. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's great, man. It's really great to be able to have these technological advancements, which if you can sit idly by, and you're just not really gonna understand the ability that they have, right? So I've been working on that, trying to step out of my personal comfort zone, because as much as I'm on a stage or holding a microphone or doing this, I think a lot of people have no idea that this is all conscious effort for me to expand and to help better the community around me.
It's fantastic.
It's not about me, it's about the community around me. It actually was and it still is a relatively difficult thing for me to do, regardless of whether or not you can tell. And I am working to provide quality content. There's a lot of content out there. Whatever.
I would call it clutter, actually.
There you go. There's a lot of clutter, man. White noise. People play it in the background. This is not about that. This is about guiding people. The whole thing about the Think Bigger project and the Think Bigger podcast, it is not here to tell people what to think. It's here to teach people how to think. That's what it's about.
It's fantastic.
Okay. So I appreciate you being a guest. Community Conversations, Patrick Calello of Vintage Culture, Honda Vintage Culture. You guys, please go and look at it. Support the materials, the history, the design. It all has meaning, and it's quality that you have to check out.
Thanks again.
Absolutely, Patrick. Thank you for being here. All right, guys. Thank you for listening. See you on the next one.